Hi friends, today I thought I would go over my 2025 lineup. It's a little bit late, but I wanted to have some time to really think it through so I could give a comprehensive overview. So before we get started, I just want to acknowledge that this looks like a lot, and it is a lot, but there's a difference between the ones that I use daily and the ones that I use kind of sporadically or, for a specific purpose. So today I'm going to be kind of tackling the two groups, starting with this pile. So the easiest one and the one that will be in my lineup for the foreseeable future is definitely this 5-year Hobonichi. I got it in 2024, so I am on my second year of going through this journal and I love it. I'm finally on the second year, so it's been really fun to kind of like fill in my daily entry while also seeing what I did the year before, as well as kind of flipping through all the different ephemera that I've pasted in from the past year. So yeah, really love this one, and this one is a staple. Next, I'm going to talk about my daily journal. So last year I had used a Hobonichi Weeks, but this year I've decided to try the Forest Planner by Nicole Josephine, and it is just, you can see it's beautiful. It's got like this linen binding, this gold foil art on the top, and the inside is equally as stunning. You might notice that the stickers and things are the same. I think I've pasted this in my journal. I want to say like at least 3 or 4 years running, but it's just too good. And yeah, so you open it up. Here is it's actually a large sticker from Planner Monkey Co., I believe. So it fits actually perfectly within the B6, so that worked out great because this is, and this is a piece of art from my friend, because this is an undated B6. So the layout is so beautiful. It's kind of like a mix between a Hobonichi Techo and a Take a Note, but it's not A5, it's not A6, it's kind of in the middle, just at a B6 size. So just to flip through it really quickly, and just to note that all these stickers are from Paperie planning, and so yeah, they are great and thin. They fit perfectly within the 4mm grid. The first section that we go through here, sorry, this is pretty chaotic, but this is the perpetual calendar section. And then we go straight into the monthlies. This sticker is from Nicole Josephine herself, but I had to go and grab my own date dots, and I started with these ones from Planner Monkey Co. and then decided they were a bit too big for my liking, so I switched over to Paperie planning, which fits, like I said, perfectly within these 4mm grids. And then these sort of holiday stickers are also from Paperie planning. Love them. It is just absolutely stunning, and it is undated, like I said before, but the illustrations were chosen depending on what sort of like flower or plant is sort of very prevalent during that month. So in a way you can kind of see as you flip through the months changing, the seasons changing, and it's beautiful. Now we get into the weekly, and now these ones, this is why I say it's sort of like a mix between the Techo and the Take a Note. We have this sort of week at a glance up here, as well as half a page for the daily. So each daily section has a timeline on the left, as well as like this blank section here to fill in. I believe it's really comparable to the amount of writing space you would get in the A6 Techo, and I can give you an example of how I have been using it. So here is just a layout that I've done. I'm only, it's just the beginning of January, so I only have a couple of weeks filled out. But here I use this like week at a glance to write down any big appointments or things I need to be aware of during the week. And then I stole this from, I believe her name is Ale, on YouTube, where she uses the Traveler's Notebook weekly layout to do her journaling. But she has this like really neat system at the top, I believe, of her weekly spreads that show what book what TV show and what music she was listening to, and I just love that. I thought it was so genius. So I've been implementing that into what I've been reading, what I've been watching, and what song has been on replay. And then I use the left side sort of as intended, as a timeline, and then just kind of paste in any ephemera for the week. And yeah, I absolutely love it. It's been so fun to fill in. And that is what I'm hoping to use daily. Next is the Kinbor. So my amazing friend India sent me an extra Kinbor that she was not planning to use, just so I could test it out, because if you've seen my videos before, you know that I have used the Hobonichi cousin for a couple of years, and something about it just didn't stick with me throughout the year, and I think it is the weekly verticals. I just can't settle on a purpose for them. But India introduced me to the Kinbor, which is very close to the Hobonichi. Like, I think people have called it basically a dupe for the Hobonichi. You can see just at a glance that the design and layout is very similar, but this is a Chinese brand rather than a Japanese brand. And once you go from the monthlies, you go straight into the dailies. There's no weekly vertical. There's also like no quotes at the bottom. It's just a full blank page for whatever it is that you want to write or journal about. But I have been pleasantly surprised. The paper quality is amazing. I know there's been a lot of issues with the Hobonichi paper this year, the Tomoe River paper, but this one I have not had an issue with. So, and then the ghosting isn't even that bad. There's no bleeding at all. It feels very smooth, and so far I am incredibly impressed, and I love it so much. And, you know, just another shout out to India. Thank you so much for sending this to me. It was the greatest piece of happy mail I have received, and I am looking forward to using this. Oh my gosh, I didn't even mention, I would love to use this as my Commonplace going forward. Some days I'm doing a prompt, some days I'm gonna write in, you know, some thoughts on a book or a podcast, but yeah. And then just as a quick I don't know, a side note, I got these like prompt cards from Lavendaire, which I'll talk about their journal in a second. And each one, it's kind of like a deck of cards, but each one has a theme, and then the back has like a different prompt. And I have been loving these. If I don't know what to write in my Commonplace, I'll just grab one of these cards and do a little journaling on that. So that's great if you don't have, you know, anything in particular you want to write about that day. Okay, so moving on from my Kinbor Commonplace, the last one is my work planner, and as you can see, it's kind of beat up. This is totally user error. This is my fault. I've just been splattering ink and things all over it, but that's how much I use it and love it and bring it everywhere. This is the Strawberry Goose Daily Planner. It is my favorite work planner. I have a couple of honorable mentions that I think I'll talk about at the end, but this is the one I always gravitate back to. There are some sections in here that, you know, focus on like reflection prompts. So there's just like life check-in, there's a section for your goals, there's, like I said, monthly sections. I think there's about 4 months, and then we go straight into the weeklies, and this is really what sets this planner, you know, above and beyond for me. So your weeklies will start with an overview, you know, some parts for gratitude, movement, priorities, etc. And then there's this like weekly overview where I like to write down, similar to my forest planner, anything like big that's happening this week, my habits, and then my weekly to-dos, anything that doesn't fall into like work stuff, life admin things. And then the next section is this weekly menu, and usually I put here any sort of like leftovers or ingredients that I want to keep track of and make sure that we eat that week. But it's been really helpful to kind of keep track of what I've been eating. And then we go into the dailies for the week. We start with Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, And then we have a weekend section and a weekly reflection section, which I just love. But each day has like the space for your priorities, your schedule, if you do any sort of like time blocking or just want to write down your meetings or appointments, a to-do list, and a section for notes. And it has worked wonderfully for me. I mean, as you can see, I have just absolutely filled it up. It is the best layout that I've used. And I just feel like it's great for keeping track of both my personal and, you know, job related to-dos. At the very end, there's another check-in here, and I want to use this more in the coming year to keep track of bills, you know, and subscriptions, a place for passwords, and then there's always some extra notes at the back, which I find super, super useful. Yeah, and oh yeah, there's just this like ribbon here that's really nice, but it is super beautiful, minimal, classic, just an amazing planner. So this is my work and sometimes, you know, personal planner. All right, that was all of my sort of like daily planners, and now we get into sort of the ones that have specific purpose to them. So the first one, if you've seen my videos before, you'll recognize it. This is my traveler's notebook, particularly the Tokyo Station one. And I use this as a cafe journal and an ink swatch journal. So the cafe journal is just, you know, this Midori insert, and I just try to keep track with like pictures and ephemera of all the very cool, cute, aesthetic cafes and restaurants that are around Seattle. Some of them are in Portland, but yeah, it's been just a great way to keep track of my favorites, and also it's been super useful because when somebody, you know, comes to visit, I can just look through my journal and I have some recommendations for them. But yes, that is the journal insert part of it. And then the next section is my ink swatch journal. So I have a lot of inks from Ferris Wheel Press, and so I just like to make these swatch cards and I slot them into here, so when I am, you know, doing a journal spread, I can just double check these swatches so I make sure I'm using the right ink if I want to match it up to the color theme of the spread. But yeah, I'm actually, oh my gosh, close to filling it out. But yeah, that is my traveler's notebook. So definitely not something that I use every single day, but there's a specific purpose for it. And the last one is, as I mentioned before, the Lavendaire workbook. This is the 2025 version, and I have been using this notebook or this journal like for, I want to say like 5 years. So I have 5 years worth of this amazing journal and workbook, but it has just helped me so much in clarifying exactly what it says, sort of like what my dream life looks like and how I can set some realistic steps to getting there. So let's kind of go through it. The first section is really just reflecting on 2024. So there's a bunch of different prompts here that you can write about how 2024 made you feel, the sort of lessons that you've learned, the highlights, the lowlights. I love doing this section with, you know, some tea, some music. I'll go through my past journals and just jot down things that stick out to me. And then the next section is Hello 2025. So thinking through what your theme is, your vision board, and then even clarifying more than that, how you want to feel, like more things like soul searching about who you are and how you can prioritize self-care. Those are always really helpful. I love doing this about me just to see from year to year, you know, how has my perception of myself changed. Next is setting 2025 goals, and it really covers everything from health to career to finances. It has really helped me, you know, break down what I want 2025 to look like from all these different aspects. That way, when we go to the next section, which is actually putting those plans into practice, you know, I can refer back to those. And this is sort of the planner, I don't even know, like workbook side of things. And so it'll break down the year by quarters. You can write down your goals, projects, like what month you're gonna establish those, and then a self-reflection wheel. And then you can go into the January specific goals and what you'll do week by week to get to that goal. And yeah, then at the end of the month, you can just look back at what happened, your highlights, what you learned, and it goes on for the rest of the year. And I feel like this is a great sort of journey to go on, from imagining, you know, what your dream life would look like, what those specific aspects look like, and then further how that will break down from a quarter to month to week. And I like to use it in the ways that make sense to me, so I don't always have to be like firmly, you know, filling this out every single week, every single month. But at the end of the year, it is just so nice to look back and see how things have turned out. Great. So, okay, let's get into a little bit of honorable mentions, which I'll go through really quickly. The Strawberry Goose Daily Planner is definitely my favorite planner, but there are a couple of others that I like to sort of dabble in. I found that with work planners, for some reason, I really kind of go by quarter. Yeah, so every 3 months I feel like the urge to mix things up, and so there are a couple of other ones that I like to dip in and out of. Okay, so here are my honorable mentions. The first one is the Cloth and Paper Spiral Planner. This one comes out every year, I believe in November, and the layout is kind of always changing. And so this year is this really interesting vertical weekly layout. Like the paper is just so luxurious. They also have this really great sort of like monthly overview that I just find super helpful. And then, yeah, I've just been trying this out, seeing if I like this. There's a lot of, it's both like very structured and pretty open-ended, but I've liked using it so far, and I feel like I'll probably dip in and out of this as the year goes on. Also, Cloth and Paper is my mini happy planner, which I am already sort of like thinking about how I can update it for 2025. But this one is very much customizable. I've talked about it before. You can buy the individual inserts, you can buy your own tabs and just kind of make it how you want it. But this is one that I will definitely be updating and diving into here and there, because, you know, if I miss a month, I can just take those inserts out and start afresh. Now the next two, this first one is the Passion Planner Daily, and I have loved this for many years. It has these monthly sections. It has these sort of like check-ins and reflections, which are really nice. But the real, I guess, you know, strength of this is breaking your day down. You have your like priorities, your personal items, your work items, this timeline, which I love because it's broken down by half an hour increments, and you don't see that very often. And I have a lot of meetings that start on the half hour, so this is really helpful. Kind of this free space, some reflection questions, not too many, but just enough. And then each day has a full blank page, so it just is so helpful if I need to take, you know, notes for a meeting or just sort of jot down some like thoughts. But yeah, I find myself always coming back to this one as well, just because when I know that I'm sort of in my busy season, this one is great for just having so much room for notes and agendas and things like that. And the last but the newest one is I got this productivity planner from Paperie, and I've never tried this before. First of all, adorable. It is personalized, which I just love, and the cover is just darling. But I've never used this one before, but I'm very intrigued because it is very similar to my Strawberry Goose planner. So let's kind of get into it. First, you go into a little bit of, I think, like journaling, reflection, again, your goal planning, goal breakdown, a monthly section, which this is such like a small pet peeve, but I am a Monday start person, And it is so hard to find like Western journals that are Monday starts. I find myself always having to sort of like white them out, but it's fine. It's fine. I'm just being picky. And then yeah, there's these weekly planning sections, a weekly overview, and then the daily sections. Very, very similar. There's priorities, there's a timeline, some tasks, notes, and a little bit of reflection. So this could also be a really great contender. And as well, there's a weekly reflection. So it is very similar. The only thing is, okay, this is also really picky, but if you're a planner person, if you're a journal person, you know, Paperie journals are not lay flat. So you can see it's sort of like tipping over. But that being said, I think you could train it, and you know, it's not that big of a deal, but if that's something that irks you, just a note about that. But I think this is great, and I think, you know, I'm almost done with my strawberry goose one. It's almost time for me to try something different, so maybe I will jump into one of these contenders for, you know, February. But there we have it. These are my honorable mentions. But thank you so much to everyone who has watched this far about me chattering about my planners. I so appreciate you all, and if you have any questions, if you have any other things that you'd like to see in more detail, please don't hesitate. I'm always happy to talk more about journals and planners, and thank you so much for watching.